Ulrich is the free 6-star we're getting for the 2nd anniversary, and despite being free, he's actually quite powerful. You can run him as a support for anyone who scales with Ultimate Might, or you can also slot him in as a burst DPS himself, though the best place for him is definitely within the Dynamo team. Before diving into Ulrich though, let's quickly talk about the new Dynamo mechanic, which is now tied to this array. The first thing to know is you don't need to worry about setting it up yourself. If it's not already out, your Dynamo character will automatically put it on the field at rank 1. And if you're running more than one Dynamo in the team, the game always counts it as being deployed by the leftmost one in your lineup. Most of the time, that doesn't change much. But for certain Psychubes that care about who plays the array, it's important to know. Now, the field has 3 possible ranks. To rank it up, your Dynamo characters have to inject Dynamo into it. Each rank makes the field stronger, but the catch is that they don't last forever. Rank 1 and Rank 2 stick around for 3 turns, while Rank 3 only lasts 2 turns. The basic rhythm of a Dynamo team is just to rank the field up to Rank 3, and with it, unload your burst. Now that you've got a feel for how the array works, let's talk about Ulrich himself. The main reason to play him is his buffs and debuffs. At full strength, he can give your team 70% ultimate might, while also shredding the enemy's damage reduction by 70%. Both of these effects come from his 2 skills, and they work in almost the same way. After you use either skill 1 or skill 2, Ulrich gains a special channeling state that lasts for 3 turns. Each channeling has its own set of encryption keys, which increase the effect of the channeling. He gains more of them whenever your team injects Dynamo into the array, up to a maximum of 10. The channeling with the circles boosts your team's ultimate might, while the one without circles reduces enemy damage reduction. Both of them can reach 70% at 10 keys. There are a couple of things to keep in mind here. First, the buff and debuff don't apply right away. They trigger at the start of the following turn. That means it won't do anything during the turn where he starts the channeling, and if the channeling has only 1 turn left, it'll still apply one last time before expiring. Second, when the channeling ends, the keys reset. You can't extend the duration by casting the same skill again. If you try to use his skills while the channeling is still active, instead of refreshing it, Ulrich will gain stacks of ceremony and inject 5 Dynamo into the array instead. The only way to extend Ulrich's channeling is through his ultimate, which adds 1 extra turn to its duration. With that, he can keep his buffs and debuffs going for a total of 4 turns. And that's on top of the fact that his ultimate is actually a huge nuke on its own. When Ulrich casts his ultimate, he generates and injects 30 Dynamo into the array. Right now, that doesn't really matter, since you'll almost always be using it while the array is already at rank 3. But in the future, it'll be a lot more valuable. Karen, the Dynamo unit coming in the version 3.0, actually benefits from overflowing Dynamo, so Ulrich's ultimate will be a great setup tool for him. On top of that, Ulrich also enters a 1-turn channeling state. Just like his skills, this channeling can build up to 10 encryption keys. The difference is, while he's in this state, he can't act. Instead, at the end of the turn, he unleashes a massive AoE hit, dealing up to 1600% damage to all enemies, or 2600% while at rank 3 array, based on how many keys he has. And the best part is, this attack counts as both an ultimate and a follow-up. Also, his ultimate doesn't count towards your hand limit, which helps smooth out rotations and keeps your card flow more stable. But more importantly, it allows him to generate it at the beginning of the turn as his passive triggers. Now let's circle back to Ulrich's passive side. Outside of his 3 channeling skills, he also performs a follow-up at the end of every turn. The multiplier for this follow-up depends on how many keys he has stored on his basic channels. At 20 keys, it caps out at 450%, and since it scales with ultimate might, the damage can get pretty nasty. When it comes to synergy with the Dynamo array, most of his real value shows up at rank 3. Hitting rank 3 instantly gives him 3 extra Moxies, and each of his 3 channelings also gain 5 keys right away. That's especially important for his ultimate, because normally you'd never be able to inject 10 Dynamo in a single turn. And to make it even better, while the array is at rank 3, his ultimate gets double the benefit from each key. That's what pushes the damage ceiling from 1600% all the way up to 2600%. Whenever you can, you want to line up his ultimate with a rank 3 array. Finally, let's look into exactly how he injects those dynamos. Ulrich starts with 20 dynamo when combat starts. After that, he only has 2 ways to gain more. One is through his ultimate, which generates 30 dynamo before immediately injecting it into the array. The other way is at the end of the turn, where he gains 5 dynamo automatically, and 5 more for each time the team injects dynamo into the array that turn. When it comes to injecting dynamo, he will automatically inject up to 15 at the end of the turn. But he can also actively inject 5 dynamo if he uses his channeling skill while the channeling is still active. Do keep in mind, this skill does not generate dynamo, so if he doesn't have any, the injection cannot happen. If you're playing Ulrich with other Dynamo characters, it shouldn't be difficult injecting Dynamo twice per turn, so you don't have to worry about it. Despite how complicated his kit sounds, Ulrich is actually really straightforward to play. Here's what his 5-turn support rotation looks like when paired with Lucy. On turn 2, you pop his skill 1 and skill 2 to kick off his channeling. From there, your team works on pushing the array up to rank 3 over the next few turns. The reason you start his channel on turn 2 is simple. It usually takes about 3 turns to fully charge the array, and you want that to line up with the very last turn of his channel. That way, he grabs the 3 extra Moxies from his passive and sets himself up for his ultimate. On turn 4, you can then use his ultimate, which extends his channeling by 1 more turn. From there, you just line it up with your other character's bursts. This rotation will shift a bit once Karen arrives in 3.0, because with Karen, the array can hit rank 3 easily at turn 3. This will allow Ulrich to safely start his channeling right from turn 1. We're not done with Ulrich just yet. But before moving on, let's take a quick look at how Euphoria changes Lucy and Ezra. For Lucy, Euphoria completely transforms how she plays. Her evolved skills no longer consume Dynamo, instead, they inject the Dynamo into the array. On top of that, her attack buff, which used to only come from kills and her ultimate, can now also stack whenever she evolves her skills. That means, by the time she fires off her first ultimate, the buff should already be fully stacked. Her evolved skills get some big upgrades. First, they gain bonus multipliers based on the array's rank, and at rank 3, the bonus gets even stronger depending on how many Dynamo stacks she's holding. Second, her evolved skills now convert Ultimate Might into Incantation Might, and it's not a 1-to-1 conversion. It's 100% plus an extra 10% per stack of her attack buff, Data Iteration. With full 5 stacks, that's 150%. And when you combine that with 35% Ultimate Might from the array and 70% more from Ulrich, it works out to about 157.5% bonus Incantation Might. In short, Euphoria Lucy just gets juiced with way bigger numbers, and honestly, that's all she really needed. With that being said, I've actually changed my mind on whether new players should pull for her right now, since we might have another Dynamo DPS coming soon that could compete with her. Ezra, on the other hand, doesn't come out nearly as well. His Dynamo upgrade leans into making him a passive shielder, but it's got some pretty big limitations. His passive shielding only really works once the array is at rank 2 or higher. Every turn, Ezra automatically plants 1 of each mushroom. When those mushrooms mature, the whole team gets a shield equal to rank 2 of his shielding skill. Compared to before Euphoria, the shield now lasts 2 turns and will be able to stack to 60% of his max HP. If the array is at least rank 2, the mushrooms instantly mature each turn, which lets him hand out that shield twice in a row. The problem is, he has no way to shield the team on turn 1. And even after the first rotation, there are always 2 turn gaps where the array would be at rank 1. That makes him unreliable in content where enemies are aggressive and hitting hard, because he can't actually sustain the team on his own. While he technically can inject up to 20 Dynamo into the array per turn, that's mostly on paper. Outside of the 10 Dynamo he gets for free at the start of combat, the only way he generates more is by actively using his skills or ultimate. The issue is that both his skill and ultimate don't offer much value outside of Dynamo generation, which leaves him feeling pretty underwhelming overall. I personally much prefer to use someone else in this team, and honestly, most other healers simply offer much better value despite having no direct synergy. Now let's swing back to Ulrich. Up to this point, we've only looked at him as a support. The truth is, if you're chasing raw burst damage, Ulrich can also be the carry himself. The core of this playstyle revolves around his ultimate that can hit up to 2600% damage. It scales with both ultimate might and follow-up bonuses, which opens the door for some really powerful support. To pull this off, you need Dynamo Ezra, or later on, another Dynamo unit, since hitting that rank 3 array is mandatory for maxing out his ultimate damage. From there, the game plan is simple. Spam Ulrich's skills to stack up as much ceremony as possible, along with Ezra's skill for extra Dynamo generation. Once you've built enough to hit rank 3 array, you only need to use a single skill from Ezra to fuels Ulrich's encryption key mechanic and lets his ultimate hit its absolute peak. If you've got Melania, it gets even better. She lets you use Ulrich's ultimate on both of the rank 3 turns, while also giving extra moxie thanks to her passion drain. That makes the rotation feel way smoother. Finally, here are the basic resonance codes you'll want to use with Ulrich, Euphoria Lucy, and Euphoria Ezra. I'll leave the full codes in the comment and description so you can copy them anytime. For his Psychube, you've got 2 options. His signature one, which drops later during the event, is the best overall pick for most content. But if you're up against enemies with really high defense, Flutter Page's Psychube can be an okay alternative, since the penetration helps squeeze out more damage in those situations. As for portraits, I'll keep it short. I generally don't recommend pulling past P1 for anyone. Ulrich's P1 is solid. It increases the maximum buff his channeling can give, which makes him a stronger support. But everything past that is just personal damage boost. Unless you're fully committed to running him as your main DPS, they won't impact your team's overall damage enough to justify the pulls. That's pretty much everything on Ulrich and the new Dynamo mechanic. Hopefully, I didn't throw too much information at you all at once. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking with me. I'm curious though, are you planning to run Ulrich more as support, or are you going to try him out as your main DPS? And for Lucy and Ezra, how do you feel about their Dynamo Euphorias? Share what you think in the comments down below, I'd love to hear it. And as always, this has been Steamed Bun X. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.